YouTube. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Oops. Oh my goodness. I'm just waiting for YouTube to go live, but and I hope these videos record as well as possible. Recording on both Facebook and YouTube nowadays, as per usual. But nice life story. But on that note, I'm going to focus on the YouTube screen. So if anyone comments on Facebook, I'm doing the opposite to what I did in part one, as I did with my South Africa videos last night. Yeah, I'm a bit grumpy because it took me ages to get around to doing this, and I forgot to take the bins out and all this sort of stuff. A few things, one or two things went a bit wrong, which for a 13th isn't that bad. But I thought I'd set myself a challenge, which I'm probably going to fail already. But I thought I'd set myself two challenges actually. One is to try not to waffle too much and get to the intro, finish the intro in like 30 seconds to a minute, and secondly to try and finish the video in 10 minutes or less, ideally. So with that being said, I'm going to try and crack on with the list. I know there's lots of things I want to say, including in the intro, but I'm going to crack on with it because I'm looking at the clock. I think I want to keep it short and sweet if I can. I mean, 10 minutes is probably even too long. So I just had some bread now. I just had some toast, so which apparently is quite fattening as well. But don't eat that much bread, but I eat other stuff. But anyway, waffle, and I'm already behind schedule. There's something else I was going to say, but I'm going to crack on. So these are pointers number 11 to 20. Again, I'm doing this in the opposite way to how I did on last time, which I focused on the Facebook screen. Now I'm focusing on the YouTube screen. And for once, I'm drinking water. I'm thinking, I really don't want to drink water, but as it's a 13th, I'm thinking, so I'm lucky. But I think, like, why is it everything that's feels good and it's tasty is bad for you? But anyway, talking about trying to get the intro done in 30 seconds to a minute, I've already failed about it. So here goes. So number 11, I'd love to see what, talking about my dreams for Milan and my plans for Milan, AC Milan, that is. Milan for sure, as I was talking about in part one. I was thinking, like, what could the club do to improve? And I suppose that requires change, which in turn requires learning new things, which I talked about in point number 2, I guess, in part 1, point number 2, which is like changing, learning from other clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, even the rivals like Inter Milan, Juventus. The main rivals are Inter Milan. I don't know who are the other main rivals of AC Milan, but I know it's Inter and that kind of thing. I know Inter's main rivals are also Juventus as well, so the Derby d'Italia. But yeah, learning from all different teams anyway, basically, against that point. But even like a partnership I'd love to have with Celtic and Italian football, I'd love for them to learn from each other. And maybe even Latin or Mediterranean teams learn from each other. I'm not sure, obviously, rivals, so it's a complex one. Just like I think with like Spain, with Spanish football, I kind of want to see them do well because they're Mediterranean, but at the same time they're quite ahead of Italian teams at club team level. So there's lots I could say on that, but I'm going to move on, I think. But yeah, so basically, let's say, what can AC Milan do to improve? And that requires change, which requires learning and doing things differently, which is something I almost forgot to say, which was like something that dyslexic people can be really good at. Talking about it being Dyslexia Awareness Month and also Black History Month, and Milan play black and red. But anyway, I'm going to move on to point number 12 anyway. So yeah, Milan working with dyslexics and other people with special needs, learning disabilities, or diverse conditions, or whatnot. I'm focusing mainly on dyslexics for Dyslexia Awareness Month, and also with the black community and with black people in Italy, the migrants and whatnot, or even migrants generally. And what I forgot to say in point number 7, when I think of like 6s and 7s, which is a British term, is a Cockney term from London, which is like, I even changed my accent for that one, which is like, I went all Andy Tate there, but it's like, it means like someone who's a bit mad, like me. So I was saying, like, AC Milan working with people with mental health problems, like so yeah, seeing what people with mental health problems can do in terms of being creative, how the club can benefit people with mental health problems, and how the club can help people with mental health problems, and also what people with mental health problems can contribute to the club. The club working with people with mental health problems to improve the situation, and again seeing what mentally ill people can contribute to AC Milan, and also people with dyslexia and other conditions, and say migrants as well, working with the club to. Sorry about that. Migrants working. I'll interrupt her next time she does an interview. But sorry, very bitter, very revengeful of me there. But I suppose it is fair, like for like, however you treat it. But I think she knows I don't like being disturbed, but she still does it. But sorry, very inconsiderate of her. But the club working with people with dyslexia and also people with mental health problems, like myself. There's a method to the madness, is what I was trying to think of as well. Like, so what mentally ill people can contribute to the club, and what the club can contribute to people with mental health problems. And again, dyslexia, like our creativity, out of the box thinking, like I said in point number 11, like basically thinking outside the box and think of new ways to think of things. Basically, I suppose that's what out of the box thinking means, like how we can think differently. Sorry, my nose felt like it was running there, but so that's part of my sensory issues, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, sorry, there's loads of inside thoughts I have that when I make these videos. I have to try and get back on topic, so please forgive me. But yeah, I'll go off track and whatever. But working with people with dyslexia, people with mental problems, and also migrants, and hopefully to a mutual benefit. From a selfish point of view, I dream that would benefit Milan, because the club AC Milan, because it means people with dyslexia and mental problems and migrants will show what we can contribute respectively, and they can contribute respectively to the club, and like minorities and whatnot, dyslexics who are creativity, people with mental health problems with out of the box thinking as well, with the method to the madness and whatnot, creativity that comes with being crazy like me. So being both mad and dyslexic as well, and mad, dyslexic, and whatever. But yeah, migrants, and some of them could be good footballers, just like they have in France. They benefit the clubs. I dream that Italian clubs, like AC Milan, as well as the country. So for club and country, I dream that migrants will benefit the club. But that would benefit the club, but also it could do a lot to fundraise for people with mental health problems, which again could be good for the PR. So it could still come back to benefit the club in more ways than one. So it benefits the club. Before I move on to point number 13, I'll say it benefits the club through the ideas, including ways to fundraise, different ways to think and whatnot, of helping dyslexic people and people with mental health problems, what we could contribute. And also the club could fundraise for certain people. And again, that would help with the PR. So there's 2 or 3 ways it could benefit Milan financially and on the pitch, on and off the pitch, and also in terms of having good PR, which again will benefit the club financially. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. But at the same time, hopefully they'll fundraise to support dyslexic startups and raise awareness of dyslexia in Italy and around the world, especially in Italy itself, especially in Milan and Italy, and I suppose in particular in Milan, as I say, and mental health charities they can support. And I often think, like, I was thinking the charity Macmillan, the words seem to spell similar to AC Milan, I think. It's like AC Milan, but for those who don't know, for those who are from overseas, I think it's a British charity that helps people with cancer. AC Milan could work with them, and again, hopefully that will benefit the club through PR. But anyway, I think I've gone into detail. That point in enough details. But moving on, number 13. One thing I was going to say in the intro, and again, I did try and make this video down to about 10 minutes, and I cut the intro down to 30 seconds to a minute, but I failed, as per usual. But one of the things I was thinking is about Halloween. It's a little bit off topic, but maybe Milan in the future could help with that. But for Halloween each year, and for the 13th of each month, and especially if it's on a Friday, I suppose Halloween can't be on the 13th of, I can't be on Friday the 13th. It's not on the 13th, but it's on a Friday though. And 31 is 13 backwards. That's interesting. Obviously, it's on the 31st. For those who don't know, but But I was thinking of dyslexic people, especially with our creativity, and maybe even people with mental health problems, could design masks. I'm going a bit off topic, I know, but again, Milan maybe could be involved in helping with this. But I'd love for dyslexic people and maybe even people with mental health problems and people in the Black community, and maybe even other groups or communities, but especially dyslexic and people with mental health problems, and in particular, as I say, dyslexics and Black people for October, as it's Black History Month here in Britain, in October, and Dyslexia Awareness Month worldwide, to make like masks, scary, creepy, and macabre masks. I like to put it in that order because of my patterns with my not superstitions, but patterns that I use. Like my initials are M.K.S, which stands for Michael Coverage Engine. But I think of like things that start with M and end in S, like in terms of acronyms, like M.B.S from Saudi Arabia, who I would love to invest in Milan. I'd love for him to have his own venture fund rather than like PIF, but his own version, which could invest in like AC Milan, like M.B.S from Milan, for AC Milan, and but yeah, I don't know which might be, but yeah, in this case, I thought I'd do it in the opposite order. So it starts with S, so scary, creepy, and macabre, so it's SCM. But the idea, I often think of like acronyms and things like organizations like Microsoft, Marks and Spencer, and others that I can't think of too many off the top of my head. They're the only two I can think of, but that start with M and end in S. But yeah, in this case, that's the opposite order. Sometimes I think SKM, the opposite order. Like when I talk about scary things or negative things or even my confessions or whatever, I think of like SKM as a title, although I've given it away now so people know. SKM means those sort of things, including like confessional stuff, to be honest. But yeah, another thing about Milan, I mentioned briefly like last week. I knew there was something else I was forgetting, but last week I mentioned that I mentioned that last week. I was thinking of I wanted to find part 1 and 2 of like what I made about Milan a while back, and I was struggling. It seems so jinxed because I was struggling to. It always seems to be a struggle because I was trying to make parts 1 and 2 of some video like this, same sort of thing, a while back. I think it was like even all the way in August or September. Well, I suppose like a month or whatever. But anyway, it was a month or even a couple of months ago or whatever. But I was thinking like trying to make these videos, and then part 2, I kept having problems on Facebook, technical issues. I suppose water is healthy, but I'm drinking it because it's a 13th, and I think it's like, why is it that things that feel nice and taste nice are bad for you? And things that don't taste so nice and don't feel so good are good for you. It's a bit annoying. I suppose I'm getting used to water a little bit, but I don't really drink much. It's probably like once a year when I drink water, something like ridiculous like that, to be honest with you. But again, I know I failed with my initiative of trying to keep it short and sweet, but last week was the 6th, and I was thinking like I wanted to make part 3 if I could find like parts 1 and 2, but I wanted to make part 3, and normally I wouldn't do that, but because AC Milan's nickname is, I think it's El Diablo, which means the Devils, black and red Devils, and the idea is like they play in black and red to inspire fear in the opposition. And I think it'd be cool if AC Milan had a scary team, although I have a bit of a dilemma, to be honest, because again, I know my life story, but I have a bit of a dilemma because I want AC Milan to I want Roma to be the new Giallorossi. So I have a bit of a dilemma because part of me wants Milan to make a scary team, and even especially the Italian national team. But I want AC Milan to be a scary team that puts fear into the opposition, scary to play against, and obviously it's difficult to play against as possible. But at the same time, I want Roma to be the new Giallorossi. And so yeah, it's a bit of a dilemma, just like with Spanish football or whatever. Different dilemmas, first world problems, but again, I know I'm trying to focus on Milan for these videos, but I'm trying to be more coherent. But yeah, I was thinking there could be the as a nickname as the Devils for AC Milan. It could be like the Devils League, the Devils Cup, the Devils Tourneys, Devils Tournaments, the Devils Cup, and things like that, where just for a bit of fun, they play against other teams that nickname the Devils, like Man United, Belgium, the Belgium national team, maybe teams from Belgium, and others. I say that nickname the Devils. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know the Belgium team are, and I know that Belgium national team are, and I know that Man United are. But yeah, so maybe they could play in Belgium and in Milan and in Manchester and play against each other, or in different places even. But yeah, for a bit of a laugh, they could be the Devils League, where they play against each other, teams that nickname the Devils. As I say, Man United, AC Milan, the Belgium national team, and teams like that. Can't think of any off the top of my head, as I say. Yeah, they could play. I suppose it would be too few teams to play like a league, but they could have a mini league, and they play tourneys, what I call tourneys or tournaments, tourneys as I call them, better to say, and like the Devils Cup. I thought that was quite a ring to it. Yeah, I dream for them to have a scary team, as I say, they play in black and red to inspire fear in the opposition. I can't remember the exact saying, like black as your nightmares and red as your fears or something like that. So I was thinking, if I reacted to scary videos, I love to react to scary videos and stuff like that, and fundraise for Milan. So if people watched those scary videos and enjoyed my reactions to them, and monetize them, I would donate that money to the club to benefit it, to help them to buy academies and sports clubs, and possibly even buy players if I can, depending on how much I could raise. Although you have to raise a lot of money for that, I can't really imagine it, but that would be the ideal anyway. Number 14, I dream the club can solve problems of its own. Look at solving problems again. Dyslexic people can be good at that, and even people with mental health problems could probably be good at that. Maybe even migrants could help with that, and like help with funding pitches, building pitches, and things like that. Pitches, stadiums, and academies and whatnot. And looking at lessons to be learned from the past, including the mistakes the club has made when it fell from grace from being like one of the top teams in the world to struggling to sort of win things, and certainly not winning Champions Leagues or things like that for a long time, even though they won the league not too long ago. Most of the time, at best, they hope for like winning the league or the cup or whatever. But I'd love to see Italian teams like AC Milan competing in Europe and internationally, and going back to that level of winning Champions Leagues, World Club Cups, Super Cups, and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, looking at solving problems, but also how the club can work with FIFA and UEFA to talk about like solving problems, and how FIFA and UEFA could help them to get more access to funding, even from FIFA and UEFA itself, and also open the market to more investments and help them to find ways to bypass FFP legally, as long as they do it legally. I never encourage breaking the law, but they could say in return for improving the image of football, beautiful game, and that kind of thing. Yeah, I'd love to see Italian teams like AC Milan working together to solve, with Celtic as well, to solve problems like climate change, global warming, illnesses, diseases, and all sorts of things like that. And looking at fundraising through football and stuff like that, which I have to come to in more details in parts 3 and 4. Number 15, I talked about like how I'd love to connect with other. I know I'm a fan of Italian football generally, but I'd love to be part of Zoom groups, sometimes for different teams of different Italian teams, and to chat to like Milan Weekly and other Milan fans, and see how the club itself could connect with the fans, like the owners, managers, coaches, coaching staff, dietitians, and the players, and all that kind of thing, how they can connect with the fans to talk about how to take the club forward into the future and that kind of thing, and achieve their goals. And the goals I think AC Milan should be aspiring for are like winning Champions Leagues and World Club Cups. Like, I think it's quite good to see Luka Modric come to AC Milan, but I wish it would have been like 5 or even 10 years ago. So I'd love to see. I suppose it needs a balance of more younger and more experienced players, older players, but it's difficult to see, like, even though he's doing really good at Italian football level, I think it's a bit slower, and maybe that's a problem Italian football faces. Like in the Champions League, maybe it needs to try and mix up, maybe even try different tactics. Like Italian teams like AC Milan maybe need to try sometimes playing high pressing games, sometimes play possession-based football, sometimes play defensive, sometimes attacking, sometimes shock teams that they expect you to defend and sit back when you go forward. and sometimes copy Spanish teams like that. They pass and move the ball and try different things in training and see what works. Number 16, I'd love for there to be committees and think tanks which talk about the best ways to benefit Milan on and off the pitch. Again, Milan for sure, facing that. And that could be like about buying better players, investing in the youth, helping with the marketing, helping with the finances, and all that sort of stuff. So again, benefiting the club financially and on and off the pitch and that kind of thing. Number 17, I think in terms of training, it would be good to, I talked about in part one, I've talked about in the past, like how I love for Italian football to produce, make or create, or produce or whatever. I'm thinking my alliterations, like because it's Monday, like made in Italy, make great players. But I like to use the word create or even especially produce for some reason. But I don't know if you could say manufacture. No, they talk about AI now, but that was a bit too creepy even by my standards. But on a serious note, I wonder if like players can be allowed to make mistakes. I should finish one point at a time, but yeah, produce the next Messi's, Ronaldo's, Ronaldinho's, Pele's, Maradona's, and players like that in even different positions like goalkeepers, defenders, and whatnot. And I know that I forgot my train of thoughts. But yeah, I wonder if they give them chances to make mistakes in training, so that they can, like especially more attacking players, midfielder players. I suppose I'm giving away a bit of the strategy, but to give players opportunities to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes and try different skills, and maybe like watch players like Zidane, Ronaldinho, and others, and see like what tricks they tried and try that in training, and like coaches and managers not trying to coach out them and say, oh, don't make that mistake, but can say like the defenders stay back and make sure that you have that freedom as a midfielder and striker to make those mistakes. And like one midfielder could cover the defence, be like a Gattuso type player, and another could be like Ronaldinho and help to go forward as well. And they could cover the strikers, and then the defenders could cover them, and the goalkeeper also covers them as a last line of defence. But I'd love to see them attack. I suppose the old AC Milan teams did attack, but unlike other Italian teams. But yeah, talking about failing at initiative, I know I'm still taking about twice as long as planned. In fact, just over that, and I've not finished yet. But moving on, number 18, as I say, I'd love to see how the club can do like football for good, and again maybe learn from Celtic in that regard. So I'm sure there's a lot Celtic could learn from Italian teams, and I'm sure there's a lot Celtic could learn. Italian teams could learn from Celtic, especially in terms of like ethics and like the foundation and that kind of thing. Doing a lot of charitable work, but I suppose AC Milan does have its own foundation, so they can learn a lot from Celtic's foundation and that kind of thing. But yeah, they can learn off each other and feed off each other, and hopefully help to fundraise to have more academies in developing nations and supports clubs and that kind of thing. It's good to see all the supporters on the YouTube channel. I was thinking of like from all around the world for when AC Milan won the league. But again, I'd love to see them win Champions Leagues, World Club Cups, and things like that. I'd love to see Italian teams do better in that at that sort of level. Number 19, I dream as part of like Football for Good, they will help programmers, software developers, coders, and that kind of thing, like from Africa and Australasia and the black diaspora and that kind of thing, and improve relations between Italians and black people doing football, as I talked about before, especially for Black History Month. And also number 20, also in STEM and that ICT for Africa. I'd love for the club to fundraise for that kind of thing. And as ever, I'd love to know what you think. Hope you want me to watch. And I'm out. Peace and love.